And now it's time for the Impact Wrestling Report. Here's your host, Mathew Shaffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another edition of the Impact Wrestling Report, or I should say guys and gals. Welcome, guys and gals. And and maybe young teen adults, maybe young adolescents, just looking for some news, clues, and reviews on the Impact Wrestling Report. I'm your host, Mathew Shaffer. You can follow me on Instagram and on Twitter at Matthew_Shaffer. You can also check out this video by hitting that like and subscribe button for following along to more content on onewrestling.com. Also, if you want to get daily wrestling radio content, head on over to hackerhameen.podbean.com, and you can hear Big Ray and Michael Jargo there as they host the Monday, Wednesday locker rooms, as well as the Impact Attack that airs tonight, actually. So if you'll like this report and you want some comedy now, and you want the professional opinion, that being Big Ray, and of course, more professional than he, Ben Hameen, check that out tonight. Now, for this episode of the Impact Wrestling Report, I'm going to attempt to not edit anything. So bumble along with me here as I give you my thoughts, analysis, and reviews on tonight's edition, that being July 19th, 2018. And I'll also try to give you my reviews. So if I stop and move and I don't know what to say, hopefully I don't feel embarrassed and cut it away. That's right, I'm rhyming, I'm chiming, I'm letting it go, I'm giving you my flow. White guy with the mic, breaking it down for you tonight, yo. So get ready to rock as we head into the Impact Wrestling Report. Let's talk. So tonight we give you a recap, as I of course was not here last week. Last week the Impact Wrestling crew was taking the night off, as well as, of course, we had the 350 Days movie that debuted last week, so I went ahead and saw that, and I'm sure Big Ray will give you his thoughts and analysis on a further review down the line, so maybe stay tuned for that. But last night, we got a great episode of Impact, because most likely that's when you're going to be watching this. Last night, I'm recording this July 19th, this will probably be airing July 20th, 2018. Tonight I watched Impact Wrestling and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I actually found myself getting into it from just storyline perspective and bell to bell. And tonight I actually did not take notes. Now, if you've noticed in the past, some of my videos have been quite long at times, but I'm getting you, trying to be as thorough as possible to put you right there, to put you right in the action. Maybe you're not watching that whole video. So I'm going to try to give you a shortened down version of tonight's Impact. Less editing, more just me telling you what happened, as that seems to be what you like here on onewrestling.com. So as I'm the young lion, as Michael Jargo would say, I'm going to roll right in Huckleberry 5 with this Impact report, okay? So tonight I'm going to be taking some notes here from WrestlingInc.com just for a little bit here, just to kind of jog my memory. So on last week's show, they of course started out with a recap of OG LAX, the 5150 crew. So this is a recap itself. Last week, OG 5150 crew responded, of course, to the new LAX. Austin Aries basically destroyed D'Angelo Williams with a chair. OVE and Sami Callihan were victorious over Pentagon Jr. and Rich Swann and of course Phoenix in that main event. Madison Rayne, of course, went through a crazy nightmare with Su Yung as they ended the broadcast. So tonight we start off with a match, and this is our go home pay-per-view. This is our go home show into the pay-per-view. You're probably wondering, why doesn't this guy edit stuff? I'm telling you, sometimes I bumble and I stumble, but I hope you enjoy. Anyway, so we go into another first match of the evening, and that's going to be Petey Williams versus KILLERKROSS. Man, I really, really dig KILLERKROSS. He comes out, he looks like a bad mofo, and he just acts like it. He acts like a star. He gets it. He was also trained by a certain man who, of course, has some flamboyance himself, that being the Fire of the Crystal Ball Disco. Figure that one out, sir. So Petey Williams and KILLERKROSS start the night. Now, Petey does try to get in some early offense with some forearms and some kicks, but to no avail as Kenny Cross picks him up and throws him across the ring. Cross's chest is Cross. Then let's see here. What did he do here? See, I'm just checking it out. I read some of the notes here because I totally forgot. So Petey Williams laid in some nice chops here, but Cross didn't actually make any appearance. He no-sold it, if you will. Petey then tried to hit Cross some more, but eventually Kenny Cross was trapped in between his chin and his shoulder. So kind of like, chin, shoulder, of course, for a hold. Then Cross hit him again, and he threw him once more across the ring. We then ended up seeing Cross take a shoulder to the post from Petey Williams. He then drop kicked him, hit him with a code breaker. Petey then got some more offense in. He eventually hit him with the DDT. Cross then took control of the match. He hit him with a suplex. He was able to latch on to a chokehold. He invited Petey to try and hit the Canadian Destroyer on him. He reversed it just to prove a point that his prowess in the ring was no match for him from Petey Williams. And then he locked in the cross jacket and he pinned him 1, 2, 3. Your winner of tonight's match, KILLERKROSS. So, my thoughts itself, KILLERKROSS looked fantastic. Heading into, well, I guess we'll get into it more later, his future plans. But KILLERKROSS himself, he looked great. And as he continues to make his mark on Impact, he continues to show that he's, I don't know, I kind of say the full package. I mean, there was some instances, I'd say, tonight where he definitely would maybe be considered sloppy by wrestling terms. I'm not the judge of that, so I can't be that judge. I've heard other professional wrestlers, YOLO, say that some of his moves were sloppy tonight. I am not a wrestling move critic, as I am not a wrestler. However, I thought from a character standpoint and his story, I do enjoy him from a week to week. We then go to the middle of a photo shoot with Joe Hendry, and he tells Grotto that he's got a surprise for him. We then moved on to Desi Hit Squad versus KM and Falaba. Before we get into this match here, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to take a soda. As I said, no editing, one-on-one with me and you tonight. All right, so we've got technically two babyface teams, right? Because even though KM is considered a quasi heel, he's like technically a babyface over with Fala because he's trying to be his friends, but he's still Biff from Back to the Future. And so they're going one-on-one with Desi Hit Squad. So kind of going into this match, I was like, well, because I really don't want to see KM and Falaba lose because I like Falaba, and I like KM as a character, even though he's, Biff from Back to the Future. However, I also, gotta think that Desi Hit Squad needs to be pushed if they're going to be a hot tag team now in the division. Because, I mean, when you start to really think about it, who does LAX have to go up against? Because what they were really going up against, let's think about this, as far as tag teams are concerned, other than the LAX, there's not really a lot of tag teams that came up as tag teams. A lot of tag teams in the division were kind of like put together. Even the last tag team was Z and E. It was just put together with DJ Z and Trevor Lee after he got kicked out of Cult of Lee. Right? Isn't the Cult of Lee? Shane Helms. Anyway, so Desi Hit Squad comes out and they take advantage early by using their tandem offense. They were both much quicker, of course, than Falaba and KM. So it's basically like, almost heavyweights versus light heavyweights, semi-middleweights. Falaba, smashed them against each other. Though, as he took control in the offense of the portion of the match, he then was able to tag in KM. KM got some great offensive work in. He cleaned house, traditional, come in, clothesline, throw off the ropes, power slam, type, etc. of moves. He almost did get a pinfall with a splash, but Rohit broke up the pinfall itself. Ba did do the panda roll, so his patented panda roll, if you haven't seen that, it's just, he rolls over people. Over both members of the Desi Hit Squad, and then KM rolled over them too. So it's something similar they've seemed to be doing lately, where they're kind of like mimicking each other, their version of a people's elbow, where they're doing it together. Then they both did it again, and the crowd eats it up. Ba then gets the tag, and from KM after, because they're both tagging and then they're doing the rolls. KM then officially tags him in. He goes for a splash, but Rohit then sends KM to the outside. He knocks Boz down, and then, well, in an interesting fashion, they rolled up Ba for the win. So, it was a little weird. Big dude taking a roll up like that. Winner, Desi Hit Squad, right? Like I said, Desi Hit Squad needs a win, and I guess it doesn't really, bury the word bury the KM and Falaba tag team, because they're still trying to, work it out, coming off all that tension. And I guess we'll see what's going to happen next with that. I don't know. Great match, though, as far as for what it was tag team. I enjoy, of course, like I said, seeing Falaba and KM. Desi Hit Squad moves really well in the ring. I do like the fact that they have Gursinder Singh as their mouthpiece, because he brings some legendary status. And he does actually do a very good introduction, and has a pretty decent promo as far as even getting his guys together. So it's a lost art that seems to be trying to slowly make its way back in professional wrestling, and that's the role of a manager or a mouthpiece or an agent. Because if you think about professional wrestling now, we really only have guys like Paul Heyman and Selena Del Rey and MVP at one point in time. I'm just pulling names out. There's not a lot of mainstream managers, and I miss that. I miss just having a guy be the mouthpiece. In fact, growing up as a kid, and I still have this dream. I hope to make it happen one day. It's always been my dream to be in some form of professional wrestling atmosphere where I could be a mouthpiece. I have a background in acting, background in music, and I don't necessarily need to brag about myself here, but I've always wanted to be part of an on-screen character where I just come out, cut a promo, because I can get in front of a mic and talk. Realistically, I'm giving you a breakdown here of the Impact Wrestling Report, but this is getting more realistic and more raw with you as the viewer. Sorry, I didn't mean to knock the camera there. I really just enjoy talking wrestling, and I really enjoy also acting. So, it seemed to only naturally be a fit where if I could somehow make a living at it one day. But if not, I'd continue doing it like this with you guys. As Big Ray would say, I would do this for free. I would do this to get paid. I don't know his little slogan. That's his own way. So, after the match, they hyped up back to Impact. After the match of Desi Hit Squad winning, they aired a video hyping LAX's match versus the OGs at SLAMMIVERSARY for the Impact Tag Team Championship. And basically what it ends up saying is 2 eras, 2 generations, the revolution versus the evolution is the tagline. We then get Eli Drake, dummy, yeah, versus Joe Hendry, which I have now figured out that he's a wrestler. So he was singing before. Now he's wrestling, so that's cool. So let's see here. Yeah, as I'm gonna go ahead and read some notes here. I'm gonna be really honest with you. I missed this match. Well, I didn't take notes for this match because I was more interested in just Eli Drake. But basically, the notes here from Wrestling Inc. say that if you've seen Hendry perform before, then you're likely to recognize his theme song, which he sings, of course. The crowd chanted "Local Hero" before Hendry started cutting a promo on Drake. Oh, okay. So Hendry's actually from the area of Canada itself. That makes sense. They then air a music video of Hendry singing a song on Drake. It focuses on how Drake dressed up. Eli then thanked Joe, plugging him for his YouTube channel, and proceeded to stomp him. And that's basically where I kind of drifted off for a second. However, when I came back, Hendry was, hitting him with a suplex, but he missed a splash in the corner, so Eli ended up taking advantage with a neck breaker. Drake hit a leg drop with Joe across the top of the ropes, and then he tried to go for a pin attempt, but he only got 2. Joe mounted a comeback with some clotheslines and a neck breaker. He then followed with a DDT for a 2 count. Drake would then reverse for his own slam of his own. Then Drake went for the gravy train, but Joe Hendry reversed into a schoolboy pin and got the 3 count, and everyone was pretty surprised as they celebrated, and Joe Hendry beat Eli Drake. No, that was not cool. I get it. Joe Hendry's new, but Eli Drake is a former Impact World Heavyweight Champion, okay? He's got nothing planned for Slammiversary right now, as far as what I announced, and maybe I'll jog my memory by the end of this episode, as I might have had some, fair time with a Jane lady who I seem to be married to, if you catch my drift. So, Joe Hendry wins. He gets an upset. Eli Drake, I don't know why they're not using you correctly. You have the power of the mic skills. That's a guy who could be a manager. Like, if they're not going to at least put him over as a wrestler, he should have been the guy put up with Congo Kong. I mean, he had Tyrus, and I thought that was really good. And I think in this, I just don't think it got enough love at the time, because we were also enamored with the broken Matt Hardy. And I guess if I'm going to say broken, yes, wonderful, you have to do that. The broken universe. So I just really think that Eli Drake, with that big guy, or even as just a mouthpiece, he's great, And if they're not going to at least have him wrestle, they need to just continue to showcase him, Continue to bring out his talk show. Give me some. I want more Eli Drake, is what I'm saying, dummy. Yeah. So we then go to our next match, and it's Andrew Everett versus Desmond Xavier. Eddie Edwards, though, rushes down to the ring, and the wrestlers are left, but the referee gets beating with the Singapore King. So now it doesn't look like the match is going to happen. So let me try to recap that again. So they come down to the ring, and then Andrew Everett and Xavier see Eddie Edwards coming out, and they're like, dude, I'm out. They get out of the ring. The ref doesn't leave, though, so he gets beat with the Singapore King. So that match never happened. Yes, I know. It was a little tease. I told you that Andrew Everett versus Desmond Xavier. No, it did not happen. Eddie Edwards made sure of that. Edwards cuts a promo on Tommy Dreamer, saying that the time has come. It will happen at Slammiversary in the House of Hardcore match. However, Eddie didn't care about the stipulation at all. He says that, he's going to tell Tommy what's going to happen, and that's pain, Tommy! Pain! You can just see the anger and the psychotic nature in Eddie Edwards' eyes and face. And Eddie says that there's going to be so much blood, and it's going to be beautiful. He says Edwards is going to make Tommy bleed. Yeah, and he basically kind of says that a few times, and he kind of says it in third person once or twice. I'm going to make you bleed. Edwards going to make you bleed. Bleed. Then Dreamer says then Edwards continues to say the Dreamer's going to lay in a puddle of his own blood, and Eddie will kneel down, touch his bloody face, feel his blood in his hands, taste his hot blood, and then at that moment, Dreamer will look up and realize Edwards is the true innovator of violence. And but at the exact time, somebody yelled out, one of the fans yelled out, "No, you're not!" Edwards then says he's going to be Dreamer's worst nightmare at Slammiversary. He then made snow angels in the ring with nothing around him. So he just kind of laid there and made snow angels, I guess, making a illusion that he's going to make a snow angel in Tommy Dreamer's blood. Or in blood in general. That could be really gory, guys. We could see a bloody angel. Sunday, bloody Sunday. Sunday, bloody Sunday. Anyway, they then air one of the mini movies for Madison Rain, who is stuck in some sort of nightmare created by Sue Young. Rain was at a funeral house, and she opened a casket and saw herself inside. Suddenly, she was somewhere else, and there was a creepy dude who was with white makeup, saying her time has come. Madison then went running down and busted through a door. A little girl asked if she knew where her mommy was, and she said no. That was weird. Suddenly, the little girl was in white makeup too, and everything was really freaky. Then Madison was back in the middle of the field that she was in last week. From out of nowhere, Madison then was drenched with what appeared to be blood, or maybe pig's blood. Dramatic music plays, and then they use flashes of scary clowns and funeral parlors and some other disgusting things to try to build suspense. And then all of a sudden, Sue Young is standing right behind Madison Ring, and she just scares her. And that's how that mini video ends. Dude, that was freaking crazy. Okay, go back right now. If you're watching this video, just pause this and go watch Madison Rain, Soo Young, type in nightmare videos. I don't know. Just type that in. Look it up. It's freaking weird. It's great editing, though, and it continues to be a freaky build. And, you know, this is interesting what Impact's able to do that I've noticed that, you know, other companies, I don't want to call that one company out, are unable to do. And that is continue to evolve the storyline week after week. And while, yes, Soo Young has been slowly messing with Madison week after week, it came full force this week heading into Slammiversary. And I got to give Impact props for that. They've got great writing going on right now. They've got great storytelling. And they're writing the best and putting on the best content I've seen as an Impact fan, at least since, gosh, it's got to be 2007, 2008. I mean, because what? TNA pay-per-views first started going on the air in 06, I want to say. And I've got the first year of pay-per-views from TNA on DVD when, you know, of course, Jeff Jarrett and, you know, Primetime Elite Skipper and Christopher Daniels and Frankie Kazarian and AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, and of course, as Big Ray mentioned on the Smack Talk this week, is Monty Brown, the Pals! Period! So that was a great year for TNA, actually. Great year. I should go back and watch that. If you should go back and watch that too. I don't know. You get bored and you subscribe to the Gorilla. You get bored and you subscribe to the GWN network. Go watch that. Just go watch the first year of all of 2006. You know, because TNA had some rough years on FSN. If anybody has been around for the TNA debacle, they know that FSN was bad. The last couple years before the Broken era, and then leading into, because I don't think they've flopped too hard on Pop. I know that they get a bad rap because they don't get a lot of viewers, and I think it's just because Pop is in another tier of cable package. So for that average viewer, they're gonna have to actually pay $10 a month to get this Pop network. Now, the only thing that bodes well for Pop is that I feel like, and hear me out on this, right? We've noticed TNA, or Impact, I'm sorry, has taken a dip in ratings in the last, 4 to 5 months. Okay, here's my theory. Pop is in that tier package, and in most cable companies or satellite companies, in that second package, there is a lot of other channels that have primetime shows that are going on during the seasons, so people will get that package to watch that show, and then they'll cancel it for 4 to 5 months until the season picks up again. So for instance, like me here in Washington, Pop is part of the preferred package, I believe still, or whatever. I don't pay attention anymore because I don't really watch TV like that. I pay for everything online, streaming and stuff like that. So, but Pop itself is available in the preferred package, and it's also bundled in with CMT. So for people who watch that Nashville show, or Steve Austin's Broken Skull Ranch, or other weird shows in that different type of tier. I think El Rey Network's in it. So there's a lot of other weird tier channels that are in it. But once those new shows go off the air for the season, and people cancel them. So I could see Impact taking a dip in about 50 to 100,000 viewers if people are only just upgrading to watch that one show. That's just my humble opinion. Let's go back to Impact Wrestling. So as the last thing I finished up on was Madison Rain and Soo Young's crazy mini videos. If you haven't watched it, go watch it next. We then get Greg Osborne, which I don't think is anybody, versus Sami Callihan. Callihan starts out strong, and then OVE gave him Penta's mask, which he held up. He taunted the crowd and taunts Greg. Greg comes back for a tiny little comeback. Sami quickly puts a stop to any offensive maneuvers, and Callihan hits a cactus driver and follows it up with some more offense. Then Callihan puts Pentagon's mask on Osborne and got on the microphone. He then tried to get Pentagon chant started and screamed BS at the crowd, and then he kicked him in the head. He then said he accepts the hair versus hair match at Slammiversary. So this is now 2 weeks later, is now official, which I kind of thought he already did in the last video I did. In fact, I thought he was backstage and said you want to do it. So maybe they just inserted this video portion. Maybe it was part of the larger tapings and they just inserted it later. Maybe it was supposed to go on last week's episode and it didn't fit because it's really just like a no person. Greg Osborne. What was that? I don't know. Maybe he's from local guy there. That's what I assume. That's no disrespect. But they haven't really introduced him as a character or as a wrestler on their television program. So I think that might have just been inserted in there. I might have been a little weird. I was a little weird. But anyway, he says he accepts the match. He asks the fans if he wants to see them lose his hair. The fans say yes. He asks Greg, who was still wearing the Penta mask, if he wanted to see him lose his hair. Then Callahan says he's going to kill him. He hit the get out of here and got the win. So your winner in this match, Sami Callihan. I like Sami Callihan. I like that he was beating up the guy so bad that he grabbed a mic, started cutting a promo in the middle of the match, which is something that's not done very often. It's not overly used by anybody nowadays. So it was a nice little change up, especially a nice little refresh, after coming off of a weird, spooky little video. That was a nice little breakup in the match, just to kind of be like, hey, check it out. Here's a little laugh. And Sami Callihan looks really, really strong going into Pentagon Jr. You know what's funny is I don't even watch Lucha Underground, and now I know Pentagon Jr. is, and this guy's phenomenal. And I know maybe I should check it out sometime, especially if I like storylines. I'm told I watched a couple episodes, a little too much for me, but I have gotten into a lot of New Japan. And if you haven't checked out our last G1 special, you can right here on the One Wrestling channel. Myself, Michael Jargo, who also hosts the NXT show each and every Wednesday night, which you can catch the newest episode from last night. So after that, we then get Callihan, who cuts a promo on Penta. Pentagon Jr. then shows up on the screen, and then Sam says at Slammiversary, he's going to demonstrate to him why Impact is his house. The trend in wrestling is to call the wrestling promotion or ring your house, your yard, my home, my place. I get the analogy, right? Because like a house, is built and they're all living in it. It's a crazy house of professional wrestling, but I just don't know why they use that house analogy so gosh darn much. All right, we then get a tag match, females knockouts, with Shotzi, Blackheart, and Tessa Blanchard, a girl, versus Allie and Kiera Hogan. That's at Kiera Hogan 3 or at something Hogan 3, right? Hogan Knows Best 3. That's what it is. At Hogan Knows Best 3. So, not affiliated anyway. Tessa was playing the heel aspect of her character pretty high tonight. She basically taunted Kiera at the beginning of the match and basically says, get in the ring. Hogan gets in, retaliates, and takes Tessa out before taking on some punishment. Shotzi then tries to interfere, but Kiera takes her out too. Tessa then yells at her partner not to mess this up for her. Shotzi then tags in. Shotzi took some more abuse from Allie, who's going now one-on-one with Shotzi, until Hogan then takes control and takes the tag again. Tessa then did some damage to Hogan on the outside of the ring before taking the tag in from Allie. Tessa then took down Hogan with the drop kick, and then they both each tagged out. So now we switch again to Allie and Shotzi. So now Allie and Shotzi are fighting in the ring. Allie hits Shotzi, and then Shotzi gets caught by a forearm. Tessa tries to get involved, and she takes a super kick to, she gives a super kick to Shotzi. And then she tries to take momentum of that match. She then takes down Allie with some shots and a swinging neck breaker for a 2 count. Then Allie returned with the super kick. Blanchard jumped off the apron and refused to take the leg. She then yells out, "That's not my problem, that's your problem." And then Allie hit Shotzi with the code breaker for the win. So Tessa Blanchard not actually losing the match, technically, because she just says, "That's not my problem, that's your problem," and bounces. So, that's pretty heelish. I like it. I dig it. She didn't take a loss. Nobody buried her. Good. Impact Wrestling. You signed her to a 2-year deal. Don't do Tessa wrong. All right. Let's go ahead here and let's finish up here strong here as we come into the last portion of Impact Wrestling. I'm going to go through a couple last things here really quick so I can get into my predictions, and we'll get you on your way. So we had another promo from Callahan and OVE. They aired a coming soon promo from that new knockout. I guess her name is called Scarlett Bordeaux. Then basically they did another video package that representing the Bullet Club will be, of course, Taiji Ishimori, former X Division champion at SLAMMIVERSARY. Basically, then we go backstage. OV's looking for Sammy. Then suddenly they see a dude in a Pentagon mask and they run to attack him, but it's Sammy in a Pentagon mask. Suddenly Pentagon showed up behind them and they started to torture them one by one while Callahan was tied up to a chair. Then Moose makes his way to the ring. So this is how we end Impact for the night here with the, of course, go home of Moose versus Aries for the Impact title, which, if that's great, you're supposed to go off heading, building up your main event. So Moose made his way down the ring. He says that he's been away from Impact Zone on purpose for the last few weeks so he could prepare for SLAMMIVERSARY. He said that if Aries thinks his mind games will work, then he's been eating too many bananas. Moose said Aries should bring a banana with him so he can violate him with it too. What? Moose then goes on about. Moose was about to go backstage and get Aries, but then all of a sudden Austin Aries shows up on the screen. So he says that he's playing chess with Moose while Moose is playing checkers. He says that he's always one step ahead of him and that he didn't need to go back there because they don't need a Moose on the loose. Suddenly, Austin Aries shows up behind Moose with the chair as the Aries on the screen says he needs to have his eyes on the back of his head. Aries then took Moose out with the chair. As he raised his championship belt, Moose stood up, got some of his heat back by tossing Aries into the turnbuckle, and then he went to go hit him some more, but Aries avoided the chair shot that from Moose now tried to hit him with, and he left the ring. And that is Impact Wrestling. So that match was, ladies and gentlemen, quite delightful. All matches, I'm sorry, not match, but that go home segment between Austin Aries and Moose was great. And I don't know about you, and tell me what you guys think in the comments or tweet at One Wrestling and use the hashtag IWR. You can also tweet at me at Mathew_Shaffer. And let me know your thoughts on what you think as far as the Impact Wrestling build has been like so far and what you think they've done. I've really liked what they've done with Moose's build 2 weeks ago with his video vignette package. What they've done with Aries being the cocky heel that he is. And then, of course, involving, Moose's friends, D'Angelo Williams. And, why don't we do that? Let's get right into my predictions then, since we're talking about this. Austin Aries versus Moose. Impact World Heavyweight Championship live this Sunday on pay-per-view. One of 4 or 5 official 3-hour pay-per-views of the year from SLAMMIVERSARY. I think Moose... Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I think Moose is walking out of Impact your new World Heavyweight Champion. And here's why. Look, Moose has been there. He's homegrown at this point with Impact. Yes, I know he had some brief appearances in Ring of Honor. I get it. However, when you think Moose now, you think of Impact Wrestling. So Moose is one of the cornerstones, the pillars, one of the Eli Drakes who should be, of that company that is going to continue to be the face of that company. So at this point in time, Austin Aries doesn't necessarily need to be the Impact Wrestling champion anymore. Austin Aries is over in himself. He's the belt collector. He's huge. He's got his own book. He's booking his own dates. Austin Aries calling his own shots. He's a star in his own sense. And, of course, he got that WWE rub for years. So, Austin Aries can say he's done it all. Moose, on the other hand, is, been pretty much bred there in Impact Wrestling as far as from a national television standpoint before Ring of Honor got TV. Because Moose, of course, wasn't Ring of Honor, but at that point, Sinclair was still in syndication markets. So it wasn't across the board where they now are so vast where you can find Ring of Honor on a Saturday night, at 2 o'clock in the morning if you have to, no matter what. So I think Moose is winning. And I think he's going to go into Bound for Glory I think he's going to hold that title all the way to Bound for Glory. And, you know, we'll see at that point in time who Moose goes up against. You know, maybe by then they've built up Brian Cage some more. Maybe we'll get Congo Kong. But for the foreseeable future, I see Moose taking that championship. You know, in fact, if you think about what WWE's doing with the rumor speculation that Bobby Lashley is going to be the favored pick, if you will, to be the new champion, have his hand raised by Hulk Hogan for the WWE Championship, Universal, the fruit roll-up belt, as Big Ray calls it. So I just think that Moose is going to win because, you know, African American wrestler, black wrestler, you know, here in America, Impact, you know, was one of the first, you know, official promotions to give, you know, to make a heavyweight champion who was from African American descent, or, you know, has a pigmentation of a black male, to make them the face of the company. That'd be Ron the Truth Killings, who won the NWA championship. So I think that Moose is your guy, and he's going to be the guy. And I'm rambling here, so let's move on to the Knockouts Women's Championship match. Su Yung versus Madison Rayne. Very quickly here, I think that Su Yung retains the title. Love Madison Rayne, however, you know, she's on the build to give Su Yung, you know, good match, to bring some star power to the show, her being a Hall of Famer. So, but I think Su Yung walks out with that title. You know, there's no reason why Madison Rayne needs to win. She's, you know, in the latter part of her career. She's also on that creative team. She just doesn't need to be the champion. All right. We then get, of course, like I said, Taiji Ishimori is going to be joining Phoenix, Johnny Impact, and Rich Swann in a fatal four-way, I guess you might want to say, or a four-way match, whatever they want to call it, four-way dance, between Rich Swann, Johnny Impact, Taiji Ishimori, Bone Soldier, and Phoenix. Or actually, I've been watching a lot of Japanese wrestling, so they seem to say the last name first. So Ishimori Taishi Soldier Boy, Soldier baby, you know that. Okay, Phoenix, Taiji Ishimori, Johnny Impact, and Rich Swann. Honestly, I know Taiji can't win. I know Phoenix can't win, or he can, but I just don't think he's going to. So it's going to come down between Rich Swann, and Johnny Impact. Which, if you think about that, they're both former WWE superstars. You know, Johnny Impact, of course, you know, Johnny Mundo, Johnny Impact, Johnny Defy, Johnny whatever, Johnny Here's My Pants. I think he's definitely gotten rid of that WWE, I'd say, mark, because he's gone out there and he's wrestled in so many different promotions at this point. And Rich Swann, of course, wrestled in tons of indie promotions before joining the WWE. I'm going to say Johnny wins. I'm going to say, you know, they're bringing him in or they're bringing him back, you know, and if they're going to, you know, bring him in for that match, unless it's not long term. If he's just coming in for one night, then I think Rich Swann wins. If he's coming in to do some program, do some work, then it makes sense that he wins, so that way he builds some momentum either into the X Division, maybe to build up with something with, you know, the next match we'll talk about here later, or, I don't know, maybe Brian Cage. That'd be cool. Brian Cage defeats Matt Sydal, which we'll talk about here in a sec. Pentagon Jr. versus Sami Callihan. I don't know why I always... You know, I have the darndest time when I make these videos sometimes, just saying Callahan. Sami Callihan. See, I'm not even saying it right now. Sami Callihan Jr. versus Pentagon. Sami Callihan versus Pentagon Jr. I think Sami Callihan's going to win. I mean, no, are you kidding me? Sami Callihan's not going to win. It's a hair versus mask match. Come on. Pentagon Jr. is going to win. And, you know, Sami Callihan is going to get his head shaved. And that's fine, because he's a heel. Eddie Edwards versus Tommy Dreamer in a House of Hardcore match. Now, this one, you know, I got to think that Eddie Edwards is going to win. It's going to be barbaric, though. However, if Tommy Dreamer does get the victory, I think Eddie Edwards is going to leave Tommy Dreamer in a pool of his own blood. That's for sure. That's my prediction there. Matt Sydal versus Brian Cage. So, I don't believe Brian Cage has technically lost a match yet. So I don't think he's going to lose this match. And I think he's going to become the new Impact X Division champion. The dude is a beast. I mean, that guy is the face, the future face of Impact. Like, when you look at that guy, and that guy also needs a manager. All right, I'm just going to put that out there. That guy, he needs a manager. All right. So, that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to wrap this up here with the last thing here, with a couple things. We got the Impact Tag Team Championship match, and that's going to be LAX with Conan versus the OGs with King. I'm thinking that it depends. If they're going to continue this rivalry, I think that the LAX with Conan loses. But if Conan comes back and they're doing a long-term rivalry, then I could definitely see Conan win. I know that's kind of a wishy-washy answer, but I think it could just kind of honestly go either way. So I can't give you a definitive answer on that one. It just really depends on what Impact's plans are. I'd say you'll know by the end of the pay-per-view what they're going to go forward with. You know what? I'm going to say OGs with King win. And then, of course, we got Tessa Blanchard versus Allie. I'm going to say Tessa Blanchard wins. She just signed that new contract. She's winning that match. And, well, that is it. I ended up recording for a lot longer than I really wanted to, so I hope you enjoyed this edition of the Impact Wrestling Report and, of course, prediction show. So you can, of course, follow us along on Twitter at Matthew_Shaffer and on Instagram at Matthew_Shaffer. You can also follow at One Wrestling. You can hit the like and subscribe button here. And, we appreciate you stopping by the Impact Wrestling Report. Tune in this Sunday as I will be doing some form of Impact SLAMMIVERSARY review. And tune into the Hacker Humming Podbean network as you might just hear me giving you the SLAMMIVERSARY breakdown there simulcast from One Wrestling. I might finally crawl out of the bin humming hamper there in the locker room and make my way out onto the stage. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. As I always say, don't you dare go too far away. Don't you dare go too far. We'll see you next week on the IWR.